So today what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and start writing ratios from a word problem using a table. Last time that you did, you used an equivalent ratios and you used a T-chart, and now we're going to do a T-chart or a table. It depends how you want to do it. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. So here we're going to be writing a ratio from a word problem and finding an equivalent ratios. So the problem says there are 3 cashews for every 2 almonds in a mixture of nuts. Write each ratio and find an equivalent ratio if there are 54 cashews in a single serving. So we're assuming the single serving is the mixture of nuts. So let's go ahead and draw a table. So the way I draw a table is I'm going to go ahead and put cashews, almonds, and I'm going to get the total number of nuts. So in this case, I'm going to do cashews is 3, because that's what it's telling us here. Almonds is 2, and all I have to do to find the total is 5. So if I only had 3 cashews and 2 almonds, then I know in a serving or in a mixture of nuts, it's going to be only 5 nuts. So let's go ahead and talk about the other number. So in this other number, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at the equivalent ratios. So if it says write each ratio and find an equivalent ratio if there are 54 cashews. So 54 cashews, I'm going to go ahead and put it with a C because that's what it's asking us. Now what I need to do is I need to find the scale factor. So scale factor, remember, we talked about that last time you did equivalent ratios. So we talked about scale factor. So all we have to do is find out how many times does 3 go into 54, or I'm multiplying 3 times what to get to 54. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and divide. So I'm going to use this. So I'm going to go 54 divided by 3. So 3 into 5 is 1. So that's 3. Remainder is 2. Bring down to 4. 3 into 24 is 8. So that's 24. Remainder is 0. So that means 18. So my scale factor is 18. So let's go ahead and look at that. So 3 times 18 gives me 54. So 2 times 18 will give me, so I'm going to go ahead and do times 18. 18 times 2, so I'm going to add it twice. So that's 16, 1, so that's 36. So my answer is 36. So I'm going to go ahead and do the total. So I could do it either times 18 or add those up. So it's easier for me to add, so I'm going to add it. 4 plus 6 is 10, carry the 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so that's 90. So we have the part, and the total. So let's look at what they're asking us to, how to write the ratio. So the ratio is asking us to write it, as cashews to almonds. So I'm going to go ahead and do cashews to almonds. So the new ratio is, so I have, the old ratio is 3 to 2, and an equivalent ratio is 54 to 36. So this is my new ratio. It is cashews to almonds, and we got it written down. The second ratio is asking for almonds to cashews. So now I need to go ahead and still write it. I already have my answer, so almonds to cashews. So my almonds is 2, my cashews is 3, so then I'm going to go ahead and write 36 over 54. So I already have the ratio written down over here. All I need to do here is follow the order. Now letter C is a little bit different because it's asking for cashews for every almond. So that means they want to know how many cashews we have for one almond. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and divide this up. So I'm going to move this up a little bit so I could have more room. So I know there's cashews, there's 3. Almonds, there's 2. So I want to know for 1. So all I have to do is divide. So 3 divided by 2, remember, this is also division. This is also division, so I want to find out how many it's 1. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So my scale factor here is going to be different from up here, because up here we were trying to go up. This is going down. So it's still going to be the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. The scale factor is divided by 2. Divided by 2. So in this case, I divided by 2. So that's 1. Remainder is 1. Add a decimal. 0. Bring the 0 down. 2 into 10 is 5. So that's 10. 0. So that means I have 1.5 cashews for every 1 almond. So every means 1. So make sure that you understand that. So my new equivalent ratio is this. This is called unit rate, and we'll talk about that later on this week. So make sure that you understand that when you're writing ratios, you have to use a table to write your ratios. You're looking for the scale factor. That's very important, the scale factor. Once you have the scale factor, you could find equivalent ratios depending on what they're asking you for. Also, when you want for every one thing or for every certain thing, then they're asking for unit rate, and all you're doing is dividing it up. So scale factor, you could multiply or you could divide depending which way you're going. So make sure you're listening to this, you're understanding that. The next slide is going to be for you to try it on your own. So make sure that you're doing on your own and then come back to it to see if you got it correct. Okay, so this is on your own. So you're still going to write a ratio from a word problem and finding equivalent ratios. There are 125 students for every 5 teachers in summer school. Write the ratio and find an equivalent ratio if there are 25 teachers. So you're going up because you're going from 5 teachers to 25 teachers. So go ahead and draw the table and write the ratio and come back to, stop the video now and then come back to it so you could check your answers. Okay, so hopefully you were able to do both of those ratios. So I went ahead and showed the table. So there's 125 students. So there's 125 students, there's 5 teachers, and all together it's 130 people. So in this case, I went ahead, since they wanted for 25 teachers, my scale factor is times 5. So that's my scale factor. So all I had to do is 5 times 5 is 25. 125 times 5 is 625, and the total is going to be 650. So in this case, we didn't really need the total, but it's always good to have it. So here we have 2 students to teachers. So I went ahead and reversed my table. So I have teachers to students. So I went 5 to 125. So my new ratio is 25 over, or 25 to 625, not over, because we're not doing fractions, we're doing ratios. So 25 to 625. So students for every teacher, that's the one we have to do the unit rate. So I went ahead and put students to teacher like I had over here, but now my scale factor here is to divide by 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, 125 divided by 5 is 25. So my unit rate, or students for every teacher, is 25 students. So I'm going to write that down. So it's 25 students for every teacher. So this gives you a unit rate. And like I said, we'll be talking about unit rates later on this week. So hopefully you got this correct. And if you didn't, make sure you check to see what you did wrong. That way, when you do another ratio or table or another problem, you don't get confused and you do not make the same mistake. So make sure that you are doing this on your own. and it gives you good practice. So this is your assignment in Schoology. So make sure you go to Schoology and make sure that you are doing this on your own. I will have you draw a table, and you're going to fill in the table. And make sure that you are working on trying to do this on your own without any help from anybody. Because the more you do this, the better you're going to be able to accomplish this ratios and actually understand them more. So good luck on that. And if you need help, make sure you let us know. Bye-bye.